The plan existed. Not as a theory, not as a war game, not as a hypothetical exercise in a think tank somewhere. As a signed, dated operational military plan with specific targets, specific timelines, and specific yield calculations for each city on the list. The year was 1949. The Cold War was 14 months old. The Soviet Union had just detonated its first atomic bomb, 4 years ahead of Western estimates. The United States Joint Chiefs of Staff commissioned a plan for what would happen next. The plan was called Operation Dropshot. It called for the detonation of 300 nuclear bombs and 250,000 tons of conventional explosives across 100 Soviet cities. It was designed to destroy 85% of Soviet industrial capacity in a single coordinated strike. It targeted Moscow, Leningrad, Stalingrad, Sevastopol. Cities, not military installations. Cities. It was scheduled for execution on January 1, 1957. The world did not know this plan existed until 1977, when it was declassified, 28 years after it was written, 20 years after its scheduled execution date. This is the story of what was planned, and what it means that it was planned, and what stopped it. In 1945, the United States ended the Second World War with 2 atomic bombs. The world understood immediately that warfare had changed. What the world did not understand immediately was how completely it had changed. How the existence of nuclear weapons would reshape every calculation every government made about every conflict for the rest of the century. The United States had a monopoly on nuclear weapons from 1945 to 1949. 4 years. During those 4 years, American military planners developed a series of war plans for a conflict with the Soviet Union. Each plan was updated and replaced. Each was more comprehensive than the last. Dropshot was the most comprehensive. The plan assumed war would begin with a Soviet conventional attack into Western Europe. NATO forces, vastly outnumbered in conventional terms, would fall back. The nuclear strike would then be launched. 300 atomic bombs in the first month of conflict. The Soviet Union's industrial and military capacity destroyed before it could be brought to bear. The plan was not a bluff. It was not a deterrent. It was an operational order waiting for a date. The uncomfortable part. Here is what the planners knew and included in their calculations. 300 nuclear bombs on 100 cities would kill millions of civilians. Not as a side effect, as a design feature. The plan explicitly targeted industrial centers in urban areas. The civilian population of those cities was part of the calculation. Their deaths would reduce Soviet productive capacity. This was considered acceptable. The men who wrote this plan were not monsters by any ordinary measure. They were military officers doing their jobs in the context of their time. They had just fought a war in which 60 million people died. The scale of death that was acceptable had been recalibrated by 5 years of industrial warfare. What seemed unthinkable before 1939 seemed, by 1949, like a logical extension of established practice. This is what total war does to the people who plan it. It makes the previously unthinkable thinkable. It moves the boundary of acceptable losses outward until the boundary disappears entirely. Operation Dropshot was not an aberration. It was the logical conclusion of a line of thinking that had been developing for a decade. The planners did not see themselves as planning mass murder. They saw themselves as planning victory. The plan was never executed. several things happened between 1949 and the scheduled execution date of January 1957 that made it obsolete before it could be used. The Soviet nuclear program accelerated faster than American intelligence estimated. By the mid-1950s, the Soviet Union had enough nuclear weapons to respond to an American first strike with devastating effect. The one-sided calculation that made Dropshot viable disappeared. A nuclear exchange was no longer something the United States could win. It was something that would destroy both sides. This is the logic that eventually produced deterrence, mutually assured destruction, the doctrine that nuclear war cannot be won and therefore must not be fought, the doctrine that kept the Cold War cold for 40 years. But in 1949, when Dropshot was written, that logic did not yet apply. In 1949, the United States believed it could win a nuclear war. Quickly, decisively, with acceptable losses on the American side. The plan was not deterrence. It was a first strike option dressed as a defensive response. The map ends here. The territory continues. Operation Dropshot was declassified in 1977 and published as a book the following year. The response was muted. By 1977, the Cold War had been going for 30 years. People had absorbed the reality of nuclear arsenals pointed at cities. The revelation that there had been a specific plan with a specific date produced less shock than it should have. But consider what declassification actually revealed. In 1949, while ordinary people in both countries were rebuilding their lives after the Second World War, while children were going to school and families were buying houses and cities were being reconstructed, there existed, in a classified vault somewhere in Washington, a signed order to destroy 100 Soviet cities on January 1, 1957. The people in those cities did not know. The American public did not know. The politicians who would have had to authorize the strike. Most of them did not know the details. The plan existed in a space between military planning and political reality, visible to a very small number of people, and invisible to almost everyone it would have affected. This is how nuclear war was almost managed. Not through public debate, not through democratic oversight, through classified planning by military officers answerable to a chain of command that extended upward to a president who would have met to make the decision in a compressed time frame during a crisis. The president in 1949 was Harry Truman, the same man who had authorized the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He knew what nuclear weapons did to cities. He had authorized it once. The question of whether he would have authorized it again in a crisis, with military advisors presenting Dropshot as the operational solution, is not answerable. He was never put in that position. What stopped Operation Dropshot was not wisdom, not morality, not international law. It was Soviet nuclear capability. The plan became unviable because the target acquired the ability to strike back. Think about what that means. The thing that prevented the planned destruction of 100 cities was not the recognition that destroying 100 cities was wrong. It was the calculation that destroying 100 cities would result in the destruction of American cities in return. The moral argument and the strategic argument pointed in the same direction, but only the strategic argument was doing the work. This is the architecture of nuclear deterrence. It is not a moral system. It is a calculation, and calculations can change. The variables that made the calculation stable in 1957 are not guaranteed to remain stable. Operation Dropshot is not a historical curiosity. It is a demonstration of what military planning looks like when one side believes it has a decisive advantage, when the calculation favors the strike, when the plan is written and dated and waiting. The plan changed because the calculation changed, not because anyone decided it was wrong. The document exists. You can read it. It is available in declassified archives. A signed operational plan to destroy 100 cities, written by ordinary people doing their jobs, approved by a chain of command that believed it was defending its country. They were not wrong that they were defending their country. They were not wrong that the Soviet Union represented a genuine threat. They were not wrong that military planning requires contingency plans for worst-case scenarios. What they were doing was normalizing the unthinkable, writing it down, giving it a name, giving it a date, making it real in the way that written plans make things real. The plan was never used. The cities survived. The people in those cities lived their lives without knowing how close the calculation had come to going the other way. They still do not know. Most of them. The history is available, but not widely read. The plan is declassified, but not widely discussed. A signed order to destroy 100 cities. January 1, 1957. Never executed. Not because it was canceled on moral grounds. Because the math changed. The math is always changing.